game now. Me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way. You wasn't invited. Say you come to play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Don't step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way.
Talladega Super Speedway. It's the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series at this 2.66 mile behemoth of an oval in the middle of nowhere, Alabama. We've got a great show for you all tonight. Dylan Coyle, Nolan Rempel, Terry Radford. We've got Joshua Lee in the production booth, Joshua Mendoza in race control. So much fun is going to be had here. Look at that. We need Mendoza in there as well. But look at Victory Lane. There's going to be a lot of drivers who have the potential to go there tonight. The question is, will they be there when it ends? Taking a look at the rest of the schedule for the season. Of course, Bristol Dirt was last week. Bristol Dirt was forgotten very quickly in the memory by most of the drivers who competed in it. But it's this 3-race stretch, guys, where we're going to 3 completely different racetracks. Bristol Dirt, Talladega tonight, and Dover Motor Speedway in the 1st of May. And I'm going to bring both Terry and Nolan in here, gentlemen. A pleasant good evening to you. I mean, this is going to be wild, isn't it?
It most certainly is. I mean, the Talladega Super Speedway, it's most commonly known as the biggest, baddest track on the NASCAR calendar, and for good reason. 2.6 miles, only about 0.16 miles longer than the Daytona Super Speedway, but yet it feels like it is almost double the size, and that's because it's about a lane wider on top of that, 2 lanes wider down the front straightaway through the Tri-Oval, and that means it's going to be one action-packed race here tonight. If anything has been to go by, especially judging even by the real-world NASCAR series that took their swing out here just earlier on this weekend.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting task of whoever survives outside of here to potentially punch their ticket into the playoffs. This is a great opportunity for drivers like Eric Stanford, Andrew Phipps, Bradley Burke, drivers who are outside of this top 24 in points that you see on the graphic here in front of you. It's also an opportunity for the drivers above that cut line in the playoffs to solidify themselves in with the win. We could potentially have more than 16 drivers win. The only way to really solidify yourself is if you win more than one. And Agnell Phillips, the only one that's done that. Could he potentially put number 3 for Dale on the board here this afternoon at the place where, well, that man won more than anybody.
That man won 10 races at Talladega, including his final ever win in 2000. What a run back to the lead, a legendary finale to that race. Could we see something similar? Of course, you're not seeing Andrew Farinas on that list right there in terms of winners because he is racing part-time. He will not be in the playoffs or racing in the playoffs when it comes time for that. But gentlemen, it's time for quali session, and there's around 2 minutes to go here for these drivers to set a very fast lap in the 53-second range. You know, imagine going 2.66 miles in 53 seconds. I'd be able to get 30 more minutes of sleep in before I head to work.
If only we didn't have speed limits on these things called interstates. We were all able to have our little production cars like our 2003 Corollas able to top out at a good 178, 180 miles an hour down the straights. Unfortunately, traffic and vehicle limitations and, of course, actual street laws say not quite able to do that, unless you work along the German Autobahn, in which case, well, best of luck to you. You can see Tom Wetmore currently hitting to the racetrack in his number 51 Tube Tech Chevrolet. He's currently working his way into the trioval down onto the apron. This is coming to the close of his first lap, setting himself up for the run down for lap number 2. First time by at the line. It's a 53.323. He decides that's good enough. He's not going to be making that effort to go down and take that second lap.
Now, of course, Terry, sorry to cut you off. In the real world, you cannot go below the double yellow line when it comes to qualifying. Here, of course, it's a little bit different, Terry.
Yeah, you guys talk about getting 2.66 miles in 53 seconds. Well, if the cops ain't watching, you ain't.
We're not condoning.
I tell you, coming back from Talladega yesterday, I might have broke a 53-second lap time in a little bit. The old speedometer wasn't being looked at for quite some time, so I don't know how fast I was going, but we got home in record time. I definitely stopped a few times and shaved an hour. I don't know how that was possible, but we shaved an hour of getting home.
Wait, you took an hour off when Central Time goes back to...
Yeah.
Wow, okay, very good, very good.
Fine. You take the back roads, and, you know, I was a little jacked up on energy drinks and coffee, but I tell you what, never went away there.
Well, we have got the qualifying session complete, and let's try something new before we get into the Get Wet Sports starting grid. Nolan, random number generator is a thing, but I want to hear your pick to win at Talladega.
Well, random number generator for me picked number 12. Now, that was 12th place at the time in practice. That was a 43 of Sean Kalis. So that's going to be, I guess, my pick to win. But you take that with a pinch of salt. Obviously, anything can happen at Talladega. My predictions when it comes to who's going to win a race hasn't exactly been on key as of late.
Well, I tell you, Ryan Blaney finished second yesterday, but the 12 won't finish second today. Ross Cato wins this race and one-ups Ryan Blaney in that Ford. I'm taking Cato to finally get him a win here on RSR and lock himself into the playoffs.
Well, I'm going with a little bit of a dark horse driver who has 2 top 10s at Talladega in 5 starts, 1 top 5, but has struggled in his past 3 appearances. Matthew Mara, who did not qualify, is going to get his first RealSimRacing Full Throttle Cup Series victory. It is time for the Get Wet Sports grid, and Nolan, Alexander Light, has taken the pole.
He certainly has. Alexander Light going to be up on pole position for the Get Wet Sports starting grid. Michael Johnson lines it up beside him with 18 thousandths on the front row. It's another foul back to defending champion Agno Phillip of the 851 Pro Chevrolet. David Call from Pure Sims brings it up in the number 99 Mustang back in 4th. Send me out of her flat of esports. We'll be bringing it up in 5th on row number 3 with Thomas George beside him, Terry.
He put Cody Harris back here in 7th with William Smith. Esteban Rodriguez, the man who won Daytona, mind you. Can he sweep back-to-back restrictor plate races? Bradley Burke, Jaron Weinmaster, and Brett Punkari, who was the pole sitter for Daytona, mind you, starts 12th.
Continuing down the order, Gregory Shaw, the Limitless Esports driver, will be in 13th in row 7. Tom Wetmore in the Get Wet Sports starting grid 14th. Andrew Phipps, Joey Tice, Ross Cato, that is your pick, Terry, and Carl Poehler, your first 6, or I should say 9 rows.
Richard Wolfsford brings it up in 19th with Grant Davis back in 20th around to the top half of the field as we kick off the second half. Eric Stanford and Michael O'Reilly on row number 11. Nicholas Mara and Nahoyan Flores back on row number 12.
45th is going to go to Richard Woodruff for Brandon Fetter Place. Jason Staney, the man who was 12th in practice, Sean Kalis, back there in the SK Racing Ford Mustang with Tom Morado, and Eric Papanow raising out 30th.
And, of course, the rest of the rows, Mike Kaczynski, Sean Casto, the last of the drivers to set a qualifying lap. Matt Danson, Steve Durham, Matthew Mara, and Steve Tucker deciding not to qualify. Perhaps they are going to try and avoid the chaos today. That is a hot track, a hot bit of asphalt right there.
That's a spicy meatball right there. 113 degrees, and these next-gen cars getting some push. You talk about some chaos, man. You're going to be like an egg in a frying pan out here with these Goodyear Eagles. You need a little slipping and sliding, and I'll tell you, if that track gets any hotter, that last lap's really going to be a flame. Somebody's going to go spinning down this down the Alabama Gain super stretch.
I just don't know if it's still going to cause a necessity to potentially change tires. I mean, we're at the limit right here where we could see tire wear become something, but it's Talladega. It's banked enough. I just don't see tire wear becoming an issue. I do think drivers are going to try and come down for tires when they don't necessarily have to, and drivers are going to take advantage of that with just going for fuel or right sides.
I think that's going to be really critical when you get down to pit strategy. Do you opt to take tires, yes or no? Do you opt to take 2? Do you opt to take 4? There's a limited number of tires for tonight. Hopefully, we won't be seeing drivers reaching those tire set limits, and hopefully we get long enough green flag runs that we'll be able to have ourselves with a green flag run as the pace car pulls down to pit road.
Oh, baby. This is going to be fun. Talladega Super Speedway, 94 laps at this monstrous tri-ovals track. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a lot of fun. Alex Light is going to lead us to the line. Green flag in the air. We're underway at Dega. Michael Johnson leads the first lap. Everyone fairly nice and tidy through the first 2.66 miles. The first lap of 94. 2 wide all.
And right now, that inside lane, not with a lot of momentum on the bottom, as Alexander Light started from the pole, but he's dropped back down to 5th, and that might become 6th as Brett Punkari goes by around the outside line. Punkari jumps down with Bradley Burke. Now the 95 will lead the charge as they try to push their way up to the front of the field.
A little bit of an advantage for that outside line right now. They're just more organized as the inside line. Once again, the accordion effect, but coming down low is going to be Thomas George, and they're going to try and fight for that lead. William Schmidt, yellow flag is out. A wreck, an incident. Is that Matt Danson?
I think that's
now that was your
actually.
That was Kalis. That's no.
What did I tell you?
It.
This is why I don't make predictions. This is for exactly this reason.
What did I say last week at Bristol Dirt? This is why when we make picks, you have to make picks with your heart, not a random number generator. Because when we jinx them, you see Eric Papanow right here with them, and that's just a driver that just came up. Who was that? A Toyota. And it's funny because we just got a message from Race Control, Joshua Mendoza. There's only 3 of them in the field, and one of them just threw somebody slap dab in the wall. That's the 27 machine.
Yeah, Richard Woodruff.
Richard Woodruff puts a Ford in the wall, so we're, got a little damage on one of them, and well, here we go.
Yeah, actually, it's not even Woodruff's fault. It's Eric Stanford for coming up on Woodruff.
Well, in crazy part is we had a couple drivers start from pit lane that's all the way back in the back. I mean, that's the likes of, you go back here to David Cobb, Gregory Schrawl. I seen the 16, a couple other drivers. Steve Tucker started from the pits. So they were, kind of a little bit further back than what they should have been. I mean, you look right there, the 99, it has the same paint scheme as Esteban Rodriguez, but these drivers getting to close back up in this field, that's a really big win for them because they would have went a lap down if we stayed green for about 15 or so laps, Dylan.
I agree.
it wouldn't have been fun.
Yeah, not at all. I was really surprised that we saw some drivers dropping back with the draft not even being a part of their strategy on the opening lap. If you want to keep yourself from going a lap down, you still have to ride with somebody, right? You can only go around 10, 15 laps without the aid of the draft before the rest of the pack catches up to you. So I agree completely. And Nolan, you're just pushing the blame on someone else.
Hashtag blame Josh Lee.
I'm putting the blame for this one on Josh. I wasn't gonna pick before this one, but Josh said, "No, you gotta pick. I have this nice thing that I want to try." He made me pick a number, and that is what that's what allowed me to pick. So that's blame. I can't talk. Blame Josh Lee.
You're so mad.
Listen, all I'm saying is...
I feel so bad because I know I've had such a bad commentator's curse streak. Dylan, you're aware of this. You've worked with me elsewhere. You know how bad my luck's been on this recently. Terry, I'm pretty sure you have how bad it is as well.
I don't want to talk about mine at Bristol Dirt last week.
Yeah. He jinxed everybody.
It was horrible.
He was jinxing cautions. He was jinxing people. Listen, the thing that I see with it is it's fun to play along. I mean, we couldn't be as bad as Camille was in the Coke series where she had like 3 points in the first couple races. It wasn't until they like handed her Bobby Zelensky at the road course before she got a win, which Monza was kind of, everybody knew who was going to win that. The 18 was going to win it. So, you know, kudos to Josh for giving us something to have an extra tool. I can't wait for that Pasoko guy to come back, though, because I'm ready for him to start jinxing people so we can blame him.
That would be a lot of fun. By the way, the last 6 races in the RealSimRacing Cup Series, Full Throttle Cup Series, we have not had a repeat winner. You see the dates, well, not the dates, but if it's the first Talladega race or the second Talladega race of the year, Kyle Trudell, Daniel Eberhardt, Sean Casto, Michael Cossey Jr., Kevin King, Eric Stanford, the latest winner, we have not had a repeat winner. So does that surprise you guys at all?
No, not in the slightest. It's Talladega. You're hard pressed to ever find a repeat winner here.
You'll find yourself up front a lot, and I hate when people say that this race is all luck. I did be open all week long with a couple teammates. Granted, it's open. It is open races. So
I watched.
You have you watched a couple times. I was up front in almost every race that I was in. It becomes luck at the last part of it, where it's missing the wreck and hoping that the side draft plays in your favor, that somebody doesn't wreck you. I mean, I had a good string of second place finishes from whether it was the ARCA car to the Gen 4 car to the trucks to the B. It really didn't matter what car I was in. It's all about positioning yourselves in where you go and how you read the draft in the side draft. But I think here might be the first time we see a repeat winner this season, because I mean, this is a total different field, and this car is a little bit more of a guessing game.
Yeah, definitely a bit more of a guessing game. But I do still think that the craziness is going to rear its ugly head. We always see that the same drivers who are really good at super speedways are consistently fighting up front. I mean, that doesn't mean they're going to get a win, though. Terry, you, of course, basically saying as much. You were getting so many seconds fighting up front. We saw some super speedway aces who only have 1 or 0 wins in the NASCAR Cup Series fighting up front before getting involved in wrecks late in the race. It happens. You need luck. You need skill. It is not as luck-based as some people think, but it's not as skilled-based either. It's that weird combo.
Oh, yeah. Let's calm down here for a second. I got 10 wins in the iRacing Spectrum. Shockingly enough, I think I only have 2 or 3 at Talladega, or I have 1 at Daytona, and like 1 or 2 here. You know, out of my 10, you know, first win was Kansas. Second win was Gateway, Charlotte. Like, I can't necessarily win at a lot of places, but you always have a chance to win here if you're just fast. Being fast is a much bigger thing than people give, but with the fixed setups over here, we're just as equal as the person all the way back in dead last, so it really doesn't matter. He's eating a bagel again. I see it in his mouth.
Oh, Ross, the bagel man. We love that. Pace car is in. Is that a Braves jersey behind?
You leave him alone.
I will not leave him alone there. That is an outrage. You know, Terry, I am one of the 115 winners in Real Sim Racing, and Nolan remembers that. And that happened in the 15-car race at Talladega. Green flag is back out.
I was waiting for you to rub that in. No,
I was
you just
gonna rub
allude
that
to
in.
the 15 cars that was in the field.
I don't know what sport reference we're going off of, so I'm just going to take that ball and run with it as it's 3 wide on the outside for Agnell Phillip trying to make a move. And it looks like that's Alexander Light again, former pole sitter being caught in the middle. No luck so far for your former pole sitter in this race.
None at all. I can't believe we're already 3 wide and we're not even up to full speed until we exit turn 4 and get onto that small chute before the tri-oval. This is getting hairy already.
I like how you tried to rhyme that and didn't realize you were rhyming it. But 3 wide, why not? You're Agnell. You've got 2 wins. Who cares? Who cares if you reckon this? You're playing with house money if you've got a win so far in this season. For the rest of the field that doesn't have a win, you're either leaving here with a really good finish with a potential ticket to the playoffs, or you're leaving here with a lot of hurt feelings, and you're going to go back to Dover where you don't want to go in with a deficit. You don't want to go in with a hole to make the playoffs because we're inching closer to almost a quarter of the way through this season. You don't need any more bad finishes, but you see the packs behind them.
They're going to rack up front.
With each other. I'll let them rack. Cody Harris jumping to that outside lane. He wants to ride up there to the front.
Hey, let him wreck, but my goodness, the amount of pushing and moving and shuffling and shaking. What is this, salt and pepper?
Yeah, it is.
Up front, they're having to really worry about the accordion effect. I mean, this is wild racing. Look at this, coming down low, trying to go to the inside line is that Michael Johnson? No, that's Bradley Burke. He wants to be the leader on the inside line. We got 3 wide, except for the 2 in front. Single file, just trying to push. They're going to get swallowed up here. Michael Johnson thinking about the high side, comes down low to the middle. That hesitation allows Cody Harris to come on through the outside with a lot of momentum. He's getting pushed by Agnell Phillip.
Look at the speed the outside line has. They push the top 3 almost clear from the top shelf. That would have been Harris, Phillip, as well as Sam Nieto. But Bradley Burke with the inside lane all the way to turns 3 and 4, able to pull him back. And now it is Tom Wetmore to try to give that shove to the back end of the number 95. It is side-by-side for the lead. Will Bradley Burke lead to the line, or will it be Cody Harris? Neck and neck, it's Bradley Burke, only just to be yet another different leader here at Talladega.
Can we talk about Matt Danson already up into the top 10, shuffling it with the best of them? He started the race in 33rd. We barely had 5 or 6 green flag laps.
Well, he is one of the best of them. What are you saying there? Matt Danson's one of the best people.
I didn't mean anything by that.
I'll call you out on it. That's my championship pick, and I'll hold to it. At Talladega, he is still my pick, even with some bad finishes. I'm taking the 38 all the way to Phoenix. He's going to have a walk-off and win it. But look at this racing. The outside lane got the run. You saw Sam Nieto. You saw Agnell Phillip in the 94. They got the run up there, but then it dissipated. Everybody started leaving. People wanted to go to the middle. People wanted to go to the, stick on the outside for a little bit. And now look at Agnell Phillip. He's pushed all the way back, but that was just a test maybe to say, could we do it? Can this outside lane work? That might be the faster line with the side draft and the side force you use with these cars. You get that outside lane working, pinch that middle groove on that bottom groove. Well, you're going to either push them into each other or you're going to make them slow down and check up. You're going to high, wide, and handsome up there to that outside lane to win it.
It's an art, isn't it?
Here comes my pick to 3rd. He's going to go take the lead, baby. Let's go, 12.
Eating a bagel and all. Ross Cato fighting for the lead on the outside line. He's going to get that momentum, that push from Sam Nieto. He's still eating that bagel.
Get that lead, baby. Come to the line. Let's go.
He did not get the lead on that lap, but still fighting for it.
He's got to get that extra bagel out there. It's slowing him down, clearly, with all that weight.
Hey, what,
calling him
bagels, boy. Moonshine and bagels getting pushed up here to the front.
Danson's coming back, though. Woo-hoo, baby. This is intense and exciting already. Matt Danson, that speed.
And so far, it is 3 wide, pretty much almost all rows deep, at least 4, save for the top 2, but it's about to be, it is 3 wide now for the lead. Danson with the charge from the outside line of the Logitech G Altus Esports, number 38, as Matt Danson powers through. He will lead lap number 12 of the line. Ross Cato falling back to second, potentially to third. Phillips still working that outside lane as well. Tell you what, you won't get much better racing than this at the Talladega Super Speedway. All this 3 wide action is typically what you see in the final 10 laps, not the first 15.
Nah, final 10 laps are going to be reserved for 4 wide racing and then wrecking into the wall.
Listen, all I'm going to say is 3 wide racing is what you look for. They said it before the pre-race yesterday. The track president comes out there and he said, this is more than just a race. This is Talladega. It means a ton to win here. These facilities, these track workers, all these people that work at the Talladega Super Speedway, what an incredible weekend. I mean, the Xfinity race was a bit of a mess, but the track was clean. All the fans were happy. Talladega Boulevard was rocking. The fans were packed in the stands. The garage was packed in there. I didn't get to see the famous Dylan Coyle like I wanted to. But we were an hour away from each other, but I tell you what, sitting in Big Bill's watching the race and just seeing this track from high above in the MRN broadcast booth for just a little bit, to go up there and check it out. This is a phenomenal racetrack, and it means just as much to win here on the sim as it does to win in real life. And for a lot of these drivers, this is their only opportunity as the super speedways to get a win off of pure speed. But no surprise, top 2 at the moment, Danson, Phillip, 2 of your final 4 competitors at Phoenix, and your reigning defending champion of RSR leading the charge with Cato and Nieto up on the outside.
You know what we have to mention about Talladega when we talk about the facilities there? If you look at that full grandstand on the front stretch, look up top, where there's usually press boxes and suites and everything to let people hobnob. There's really none at Talladega. You're one with the fans. You're just in the thick of it, and that, I think, is just goes to show you Talladega is a different beast.
It really is. I mean, Talladega is a behemoth of a racetrack, and there's a reason why you can still pack the stands with every race, despite it only running a very small handful of events every single year on the big oval. It's because of the type of racing you can get, and the type of racing we're getting right here, it's exactly what race fans love to see. And I can say right now, I think we're having just as much fun. I can't speak. This may be the same for the drivers, who are probably feeling a bit stressed out with all of this. But I'm definitely enjoying watching the race for the spectator side of things, as Danson and Phil continue to try to now work the bottom lane. But here comes Ross Cato trying to make a move with Sambietto up on the top. You saw Phillip think about going up, but by the time he decided to make that move, Cato was over there. He had to jump back down the line to avoid being caught in the sucker hole.
They are racing intensely in the first 16 laps of 94 here at Dega. And so far, it's been some amazing racing. I thought the Cup race on Sunday was, for all intents and purposes, I thought it was a fantastic race. A lot of excitement, fairly clean until the end. We're hoping for similar here. You see that red and white car on that third lane all by himself, Cody Harris. I mean, look at how the shuffle game goes. You can be right up there and then right at the end. You know what we haven't really talked about yet? The cars that have decided to drop back. And we've seen pretty much everyone in the top 27 is still in this lead draft group. The rest of the cars, around 8, 9 of them, if I can do my math correctly, are maybe 10. Yeah, let's go 9. 9 guys, I can do math, are in packs by themselves, packs of their own. Sean Kalist is very much at risk of being put a lap down very shortly.
Don't hurt yourself doing math. We know it's a bit of a struggle.
It's hard.
It's there.
Yeah.
But the one thing that we're going to talk a little bit more about throughout this race is side drafting. You see how they're riding just above that dotted line up there? They're just kind of taking it easy. Nobody's really wanting to get on the door yet. But as this race progresses, we start to get in the thick of things. We get about 15 to 20 laps to go. You're going to see these drivers on the front straightaway, staying on the doors, in the corner, staying on the doors, and then eventually pulling away a little bit. They'll go about a half a lap, kind of rolling that way. Then they'll try to get in the corner and pull away. They'll catch that last little bit of draft, take the run all the way up and get to shove. But that's when we run into problems. You saw what happened with Bubba Wallace and Ryan Blaney. The blocking is going to get in a little bit of a hairy situation as my boy, Ross Cato, Bagel Boy, takes the lead and slides in front of that 38 to the championship pick for me of Matt Danson. Takes the overall race lead with old Smokey Sam Nieto to the outside with George to the back bumper.
Sam Nieto is one of those drivers who continuously is in the thick of things, but sometimes something goes wrong as he comes down to the bottom lane, tries to block that run from the 12. He always is there, but I think sometimes drivers feel like he could be a little bit too aggressive at moments. And in fairness, Sam has made it known that he will do whatever it takes to win. But again, he's a fast driver. He's got a fast car. He, for a time, was a bit snake-bitten before getting 2 RSR wins. And now he's dropping way back on that inside line as it got disorganized.
And I think part of the reason why it got so disorganized was that lapped car that we saw going 3 wide on the top. That was Sean Kalis with all that damage from the initial caution being put 1 down. And now the inside, though, starting to form himself back up. And now we're going to see some drivers bailing to the bottom. Gregory Shaw jumps to the inside to be pushed by Sam Nieto. That's going to hold up part of the outside line as now Jason Staney struggling to close up to the likes of Esteban Rodriguez up the road in the number 16 machine. So he's going to have to work a little bit harder to push his way further up the road. Meanwhile, William Schmidt thinking about jumping down as well. Michael Johnson continues to push Thomas George and so far showing no signs of abandoning the Sirius XM Mustang up the road.
Well, don't look now, but the defending restrictor plate or plate racing winner, Esteban Rodriguez, sitting in the 4th place position, has a really good chance early in the race to just flip track position. But no surprise that we're kind of lined up like we were at Daytona. You had Thomas George leading the last little bit of the race. You had Johnson up there. Schmidt was in the thick of things. So was Jason Staney. Rodriguez obviously coming out with the win after a very hefty crash that took out a lot of drivers. Plate racers always rise to the front. They know where to position themselves, and here they sit. They have reversed where they were sitting from the Daytona race. And, well, lap 22, we see a whole different slew of people than what we just saw in there about 5 laps ago when Danson and all them were up front leading.
Well, we talked about Dale Earnhardt Sr. winning 10 races at Talladega, and of course he had the famous 1998 Daytona 500 victory, but how many other times did Dale Earnhardt Sr. win on the plate track at Daytona? Well, they won 2 races in the summer at Daytona, 7 Xfinity Series races, 6 Bud shootouts, 4 races in the IROC Series, and 11 Daytona 500 qualifying races. That man could see the air.
He most certainly could, and it's, again, is a testament to some of the skill that a lot of drivers have to be able to make up those sorts of achievements. And I have a feeling some of the guys over here might be looking to try to get some more achievements for themselves. And just like that, we go 3 wide yet again. Phillip, Danson, Harris, all up on the top, leading the Crusade around the outside line. William Schmidt jumps to the bottom. That's going to ditch the top 2. Johnson trying to come down and slams the door shut. Here comes Alexander Light, forcing his way up the middle. Thomas George jumped down as well as Michael Johnson tried to go down to the low line and almost caused an almighty wreck of the front of the field. Entering the tri-oval, it is still top 2 clear from the bottom before he goes side by side for 3rd from the wall down to the apron.
Dylan, if I'm the rest of the field, I'm sorry, but I just saw something that would have scared the bejeebies out of me. Alexander Light was weaving back and forth like a drunk man on the interstate. I mean, he was all over the place, and I hate to tell you, if somebody's pushing you and somebody's getting close to you at the end of the race, they're going to ditch you like a...
Absolutely.
I had a bad joke, but I'll hold on to it.
Yep, hold on to it, my friend.
I'm telling you right there, I ain't pushing you for nothing. If I saw the 8 in front of me and I saw him swaying back and forth like that, you're getting dipped like a prom date, son. Like, it is not going to be a good time. I'm taking the outside, inside. It doesn't matter where I'm going. I'm not pushing you because that's how the big one wrecks here. He needs to get that thing under control because none of these veterans in RSR wants to really push the rookie. We saw that early where they just kind of hung him out to dry, and he went to the back.
Pete, stop. We are seeing some of them happening right now. Joey Tice, Tom Wetmore, Bradley Burke, Sam Nieto. Some of those cars that have come down into pit lane a tad early, I would say.
Some drivers hitting pit road early and might be wanting to just get out of traffic. You come down with a lot of your teammates, though, and you're still able to put up a fairly good fight. As now leaving pit road, it's going to be Nieto, Wetmore, Tice, and Burke, along with
Phillips pitting.
That's a 5-car train, so they should be able to make themselves work. And got another group of 5, like you mentioned, Dylan, hitting pit road and locking up the binders. That's going to be Tom Morano. That's going to turn to a group of 4. And having to enter his box early is Matt Danson, who is way at the back of pit road.
Can't forget about Cody Harris coming down pit road as well. Some of these are heavy favorites for this race. And it's so important to hit your marks here at Talladega, at Daytona, when you're coming into pit, because no one's going to wait for you. And if you miss the train as it's going by, if you slide past your pit box, well, you're in a heap of trouble when it comes to trying to stay relevant in the competition.
Well, the big move in B Open this week has been, it's a 60-lap race. So the big strategy was pit 20 coming to 21. And that won the race if it stayed green to the end. I see this kind of being the same type of style. If we stay green to the end, these packs that came in one and done is really what I was expecting here this afternoon. 1 tank of fuel should get you all the way to the end of this race. They're not going to want to make multiple stops unless the caution flags wave and then you want to top off here and there. The strategy of staying in the pack, going 2 wide, 3 wide doesn't necessarily work because, well, if we look at lap times behind, they potentially could be moving faster with a lower pack than you would in the bigger pack here because they're more organized and they kind of care. And you see here, Bradley Burke has got the train behind him, and Thomas George, he's going to catch him like a rock in a pond.
Yeah, this is going to get a little sketchy right here with the pack of 4 in front, trying to make sure that they're not swallowed up by these leaders and go a lap down, because if a caution comes out during this pit cycle, that could be bad, as there's another slower car. I believe that's Tom Morano in the 42. Yes, it is, who this smaller group of 4 passes. The bigger group is going to have to pass him as well. He's going to try and integrate himself into the field somehow. This is very spicy.
And that group of cars that are starting to catch up here, guys, is the pack that first pitted a few laps ago, and they're now about to be swallowed up by the main group, but still nobody else from this main pack coming on down to pit road. So that was definitely some sort of strategy call, and then banking on the fact that maybe there might be a caution soon that would put them all up towards the front of the field. That so far doesn't look like it's happening. Now they have to hope these guys can pit soon so they can be able to build that gap back up and hopefully regain some lost ground. But currently, that group of 4 just isn't cutting it when you compare it to the pack of 10, 15 plus that's starting to close in right behind them.
But if that is the case, then it is so important to ensure that you stay on the lead lap. If you have a strategy that, hey, if a caution comes out, I get to come all the way back up while everyone else goes into the pits, you got to make sure that you do not get swallowed up, and they're growing and getting quicker and catching up, and Sam Nieto has started to lose the path of those 3 other drivers. He's now going a lap down.
Yeah, we're going to see these drivers go a lap down because they just couldn't stay organized. You saw the two of them, Nieto, get out of line. Wasn't going as fast as you would necessarily perceive when he was taking a push. So he shuffled out of line. Now you've got Wetmore, Tice, Burke, all sitting on the bottom that has a 4-car train jumping to their outside. And they're door to door. So we're getting ready to see all of those drivers go a lap down. The pack's kind of swallowing them up a little bit. The best thing they can do in this situation is just stay calm. You're going to get a caution. They are going to have to pit. If you stay green, they're pitting. At some point in time, that whole train on the outside is coming down pit lane. You'll get your lap back. And then just pray that they're disorganized on the way out, and maybe they wreck. Who knows?
It is going to be a little bit confusing for everyone to exactly know, as there is almost a really bad block right there. The 16 of Esteban Rodriguez tried to keep Grant Davis from advancing. Davis not happy about it. Steve Durham says an unsure sure on the driver radio. I feel like nobody exactly knows who they're racing it with right now and who they're racing against, because there's so many small packs of drivers. A lot of communication on the radio as there's a really slow car, almost a big wreck, as coming through the middle is the 43 of Sean Kalis. I mean, I feel like at that moment, if you're Kalis, you pick one side or the other, not the middle.
Well, Kalis already went down a lap, and I think at that point he wasn't moving. He was trying to keep her going down too. It obviously didn't end up panning out that way. He might be able to tuck in line, though, with the main pack and try to catch back up. I think that might have been a strategy, right? See if he can link up with the big field, so that way he avoids going 3 down potentially, and that could put him in the game once again if we get a couple of lucky cautions that fall the 43's way. For now, though, we got another group of 3 going a lap down from the outside. That is Eric Papineau, Richard Woodruff, and, of course, Noe Flores as
Johnson's
well.
coming in.
And Michael Johnson's pitting in, and here comes another gaggle. It's about 6 coming on down from the main grouping. They'll file their way down on the pit road, nice and orderly. So far, pit road has been quite tame on the entry.
Actually, really impressive right there. And, hey, math is just spot on. 6 drivers. Not about 6. How about directly on? 6 drivers coming down pit lane. I mean, we haven't exactly seen all the drivers pit in, pit out times, but when it comes to getting down comfortably enough, it's been great as Brett Pancari there. And that HP Reverb G2 headset. Is that a Thrustmaster wheel? Well, it looks like one of those Thrustmaster wheels with the Ferrari-looking colors right there.
I'm only a fan of the Logitech because it's the official wheel and pedal set of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. But who am I? I have no idea. But I
very
love
impressive.
Yeah, it's good plugs. You stay in good graces if you just know the product placement and how to say it when you say it. As you see Steve Durham right here in that Ford number 10. Listen, it is what it is, right? It does what it does. Eventually you learn it, and it works really, really good. But what we really need here in RSR competition is Old Smoky to Moonshine to sponsor us. I'm not advocating for it.
I am.
If potentially Evan Pasoko, a.k.a. the GOAT, is listening, just maybe you just tell him who you are. Just throw it out there in an email and say, listen, I am the voice of eNASCAR.
The voice.
And I want your sponsorship. Don't just make it a demand. It works 90% of the time, every time. Maybe.
90% of the time, every time. The math there doesn't check out, Chief.
I didn't say I was the smartest.
60% of the time.
I did live in Alabama for a long time. Their
wow.
math is not great.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
Hey, you said it, not me.
Better you than me as well.
My mother's
I'm not going
watching.
there anytime soon. So.
I surprised her this weekend. She's a big Alabama Crimson Tide fan. So I roll into Alabama to surprise them for a birthday party for my nephew who turned the magic age of 7, and my niece turned 2. And I stopped at Buc-ee's because it's like you have to. You can't pass a Buc-ee's
Of course.
and not.
I didn't get to even get to the Buc-ee's.
Right? So I get to the Buc-ee's in Leeds, Alabama, and I stop and I see this magical hat that said War Eagle on it. Why not? I show up to the birthday party and I've got the Auburn Tigers hat on, and she was not a fan. But I tell you who was a fan, Bubba Wallace. He signed it. I told him how good of a joke it was. We're both Tennessee Volunteer fans. Good old Rocky Top still rises here. By the way, they beat Alabama too. Not a big shock. Bama sucks, but yeah, it's
yeah. That playoff appearance from Tennessee was impressive too.
Shut up. You're lucky I didn't see it at Talladega this weekend.
Wow.
Oh,
You're making enemies in the booth here. It would seem to.
I mean, I didn't just call out the entire state of Alabama, though.
Listen. There's a reason. Oh, as Esteban Rodriguez almost turned him. All I'm gonna say is, well, I can't say it because RaceSpot might not like what I say. This is when you get banned. But there's a reason that a lot of memes and videos have and it incorporates a certain relative, as you know what I mean, and that song gets played over. So the old tide just keeps on rolling.
You're making me raise my eyebrow here at this point.
Yeah, we'll send you the memes later, Nolan. It'll be all right.
Colton Lane just told me to get out of the booth.
And you better listen to him, too. He's a smart man. That's a Tennessee boy.
To quote, "This is sacrilege," says Colton Lane.
Oh, I'm not repeating what he's saying now in the chat, but...
We have gone downhill, and Evan saves us next week. It's all okay.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, he's saving you from me, basically.
I still got to put up with you. I got to listen to you on Wednesdays.
Yeah, you do.
I got to deal with you on Tuesdays.
And Thursdays.
True.
It's all Dylan all week. We should just hand you the reins and let you run with it. Brett Mancari, shockingly enough, actually not shockingly enough, sorry for the thing, taking the race lead. Pole winner at Daytona, gets the race lead. Now he's got Mara to the outside. Didn't somebody pick him, or was that the other one?
I said Matthew.
Nicholas. You picked the wrong Mara.
Well, I was looking at Nick as well. Nick, of course, has a win at Coca-Cola, iRacing Super Speedway.
You almost gave us a plug.
Oh! Can you tell my roots are with NR 2003? Oh, goodness. Which, of course, the source was purchased by iRacing when they were a different company name. That's a whole different story. We're not even going to get into it. But Nick Mara had as a third-place finish here. Just not as many races as Matthew Mara. Both Nick and Matthew are some of the better dark horse picks I think you can look at, as Matthew Mara is in that second pack. The first group of cars is filled with a ton of cars, a lap down, some 2, some 3.
Oh, wow, and way down to block to the bottom there was, in fact, Nicholas Mara trying to keep from hemorrhaging positions. Sean Kayla said, "No, sir, I'm going to fill that hole where you can come down and jump in front of me." So Mara going to have to be relegated back to the second row after losing a small handful of positions. Jumping up to the top was the likes of Gregory Shaw. We continued to go side by side up in front, but still nobody in this league really wanted to come down to pit road.
I mean, we're getting to the point where any lap now, you have to come in. I almost feel like they're trying to go as long as possible to maybe make it to the end if there are multiple cautions in the second half of the race. I mean, we had 1 3 or 4 lap period under yellow, and we get to 47 laps complete, and that's halfway. So you're looking at pretty much 2 caution periods in either half of the race to basically make it on one stop, if that makes sense.
Well, I tell you what's more impressive than Coke Zero and how good it is compared to the regular Coca-Cola is the fact that the lap-down cars that just got past are ahead of the race leader. Those 4 have worked their way to be the leaders of the outside lane and the bottom lane, just in case a caution does come out. The only car at the moment trapped 1 lap down is Tom Wetmore. Is now he gets a run going into turns 1 and 2, puts him to the outside of the 95 of Bradley Burke. This could work perfectly for those 4 cars to keep it on the lead lap, not have to worry about taking the free pass, and be on the exact same cycle as the race leaders. All we need now is for Barney to throw a caution.
So I'm thinking that you could maybe get 45 to 46, maybe 47 laps if there's 2 caution periods, but I'm not exactly sure if that's the case.
That's a whole lot of extra laps.
That's a lot of extra
46,
laps.
47.
That's 5 miles. That's
you're throwing some mileage in there, Nolan. You're probably smarter than the 2 of us.
Yeah.
Throw it out there.
He's Canadian.
In regards to what now? I kind of tuned you out for a hot minute.
Never mind.
I'll look back. I will find out.
Oh,
We're
my
talking
goodness.
fuel mileage, my northern friend.
Oh, I'm useless with that. I'm not even going to try.
Well, we need Evan back. We're all useless.
We're all Evan, where are you, bud? Well, we do have another man who went to South Africa last week, and he's actually producing
back.
for us in Joshua Lee. He seemed like he had a great time down there, as some other cars are coming in the pit road.
There we go.
Carl Pooler is heavy on not having brakes, but he gets down to, I think, minimum speed. Some lockups, but once again, this has been really, really good from everyone. Most of the front pack is coming in. I think they hit their termination limit in terms of having fuel in the tank to go extra laps.
The 30 of Mike Kaczynski missed pit lane, and that is a ton of time on the racetrack. I thought he maybe stayed out. I missed that he missed it. I'm not watching the sim. I just watched the prod feed that's shared with me, but I was thinking that was kind of stupid if he stayed out on his own. But
he'll be lucky if he has fuel.
He is very slow. Our race control guy coming our ear. It'd be shocking if he makes it here around down the Alabama Gang super stretch into 3 and 4. Can he make it to pit road?
I think he will. He is moving at this point. He'll have the speed to get down the pit road, but he should have just taken a penalty for an unsafe entry and gone in, because the amount of time he lost by kind of ejecting himself is really not going to compute with the time he would have saved from that if he just went down in the first place. And oh my goodness, this is going to be disastrous.
That's also a really sexy car. That's an Atlanta Braves car.
With an Ohio, now it's not Cody Harris.
Well, this is Evan's least favorite onboard camera.
Well, the funny thing is that we went from my most hated baseball team in the Atlanta Braves to my most hated college football team in Ohio State in just 5 seconds of talking.
Perfect. Bring them all on. We need all the hate, because you said you're a Penn State fan. I got a lot of jokes that can't be said on air, but there's a pretty big reason that they're the laughing stock of college football, other than Vanderbilt. But that's your new race leader, Cody Harris. Something that Ohio State couldn't do all season long is lead a pack, or lead a field for that matter. And here he sets up front leading the defending champion, and as Paul Heyman likes to say, the reigning, undisputed, universal RealSimRacing champion of the world, Agnell Phillip.
I'm not a huge wrestling guy, but even I know who Paul Heyman is.
Good. Extreme. We need extreme RSR night. Like, it'd be like not as
theme nights.
I don't think it'd be as good as
theme
Moon
nights.
Car, because the racing this week has been fantastic. And if you haven't watched the Jacob Pitts, Moon had, and they had another gentleman in the booth, I forgot his name. That radio-style broadcast was phenomenal. I mean, it was just absolutely phenomenal. You want to talk about work throughout it. It sounded like MRN with a lot more color to it. I tell you that much. I think we need to do that over here, like RSR After Dark type deal. We just let these guys wreck each other.
Let's buy a server. Let's get it going.
There are so many ways that you can find a way to just have an absolute bonkers night and just find ways to push the bounds of what you can do on iRacing.
We already do
in so
that
many fashions.
in the safe setting here.
Oh, gosh.
What?
There's a couple times we probably could have got we probably could have got pulled back a little bit that at Bristol Dirt where we kind of
let's not talk about that.
We tried to step outside the box quite a bit, but we really didn't. But to Colton and to Joshua Mendoza's point, the caution necessarily doesn't look like it's flying anytime soon. And I'll say it before anybody else says it. If you think that this is boring, stop watching. Just stop right now. Disconnect your little computer. Go sit back in your living room. Do something other than sitting here, because this is strategy. This is racing. This is using your big old brain that's in your head that God gave you to put yourself in a position to win. If you don't want to watch people have a smart strategy like Harris all the way down to Phipps, turn it off and have a good idea, because everybody else made the wrong decision. Like Brett Pincari, they made a bad move by staying out. The people who short pitted made the smart decision. Those were your first people on pit road, and the strategy cooked right. So if you don't like it, disconnect before you say something and get me mad.
And just before we go to our race control man, Joshua Mendoza, for an interesting strategy discussion, I do want to bring up the fact that our three picks, Ross Cato, Matthew Mara, and Sean Kalis, not doing so hot.
I still blame Joshua Lee for my pick.
You can do whatever makes you sleep better at night, Nolan.
I absolutely will, without any
I know you have to. You have to. All right, let's bring in our rules analyst, expert, race control person, aficionado, Joshua Mendoza. Josh, what you got for us?
So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about the drivers on the different strategies. You have people who are clearly going to be on a two-stop strategy, that they've already completed one of their two stops for this race. And then you have people who may be trying to do one stop. If I'm a two-stopper, you know what my decision is here? I'm going to roll the outside. That forces them to spend more time on track. It takes longer to go around. It's more coverage. You're going to make the lap longer, and they're going to burn more fuel.
How much of an effect would that have, though, with the draft coming into play so much?
It would be moderate, but, you know, when you're pushing the limits of being able to potentially make it with the hopes of maybe one or two more cautions, it could make a difference of a tri-oval, a quarter of a lap, over the course of another, I don't know, 40 or 50 laps. It's the measure of the length of the track is not by the middle, or not by the low or the high side, but by the middle. So it's a little bit longer up top.
Well, thank you very much, Josh. And you have had a, so far, knock on wood, uneventful night in terms of having to dish out any penalties, anything like that. We'll let you get back to your main job tonight. We appreciate that. So, this is going to be interesting, because I was also thinking in that case, guys, that could it be almost like a road course race where we're having one-stop strategy, a two-stop strategy? And then I thought to myself, well, not really. I mean, if you're doing a two-stop strategy, but the one-stop strategy works fuel-wise, you're always going to lose, because it doesn't matter how fresh your tires are. There's not as much wear. I mean, I could tell you one thing. I was looking at the tires behind our pit box this weekend in the Xfinity race, and the amount of wear, it was so minuscule compared to going to any other track, and it was a fairly warm day out.
Well, and you have to remember as well, when it comes to plate tracks, tire wear doesn't equate to speed. Like, it's not like at a mile and a half where you can have the fall off of a good 2 to 5 seconds. You're going to be running about the same lap times at the start of a run that you did at the end, especially if you're in the draft. The only real difference it does is making sure that you still have control of your car on corner exit. That's where the tire wear really kicks in, which is why in some races, particularly at Daytona, on race series that have very limited sets of tires, we've seen drivers go as far as to triple stint tires because they can just get away with doing that. It's not a fact you have to worry about so much here. So if you can make it on fuel to halfway, there's no reason why you should be having to stop for that second pit run. And I think that's why we've been seeing everybody staying on here as long as they have it. We got 42 laps to go, running lap 53 of 94. These guys are definitely going to be in a race of their own back to the checkered flag. I think everybody that went down early, they were gambling on the fact that maybe, just maybe, they'd be able to have a caution come out really quickly with all the pit in chaos. That didn't end up happening, though. It was a gamble that doesn't seem to have paid off for anybody.
Yeah, but if you're paying attention to the ticker, and hopefully you are, you're seeing that they're only gaining 2 to 3 tenths a lap. I mean, that doesn't seem like a lot, but that's quite a bit, because the more this front pack lets that second pack catch up to them, if they're on the two-stop strategy, when they come down pit road, that's more of a gap that they have to make up. So that back lane, I mean, it was just 10.3. It's now 10 even and creeping under the 10. We're at 9.9 there. They gained just a little bit more there going down the back straightaway. I might have had a checkup back there with Pancari, but that's something as the race leading pack as Harris, you don't want to see that. You do not ever want to see anybody catching you, because the moment they start catching you, you come down pit road, even just for fuel, it's at least 30 seconds from lane to lane of you getting in the box for just a splash of fuel all the way down. That smells disaster. And well, I did appreciate O'Keenan for quoting the great Scott Steiner on iRacing the other night, but we do that on RaceSpot quite a bit.
I quote you all the time in my life.
That's a bad decision. That's how you get canceled.
Yeah. How you have not, I have no idea on air.
Censorship is one heck of a thing, I promise you that. It gets you far if you just know when to be a dumb redneck and when to be smart.
Says the man who insults all of Alabama.
I live there. I've got a license plate and an ID from there. I actually got my driver's license in Selma, Alabama, and I graduated at Shelby Crossings Christian School in Calera, Alabama. So I know a thing or two about Alabama because, well, I lived there a time or two. I understand.
You're saying you know a thing or two because you've seen a thing or two in Alabama.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
I'm from Pennsylvania. That's where the farming is.
Well, that's
somewhat
neither here nor there. You know, I just lived in the part of the country where some of the greatest football coaches are living at currently, and you know, some more of the NFL draft people are from. I mean, it's SEC country down there, and well, I'll say it again, War Eagle.
You guys want to know an interesting fact here that I've been started to notice over the last little while? The second pack in this field is slowly but surely starting to crawl their way back up to the first pack. They were used to be over 10 seconds out. Now they are only 8.4. Last lap by the leader of that second train, 0.3 of a second quicker than Cody Harris was. So Brett Pancari being pushed by Esteban Rodriguez, making some ground. They've got draft from some lap cars to help them out, but I think that second pack is a lot more coordinated at the moment than a lot of the guys up at the front here are. They're making some serious headway, and they might be able to catch them at this point before this race comes to a close.
But you got to remember this. We still have some pit stops to come. For those drivers who need to pit, I mean, all of them have to pit. It's just a matter of...
That's the big one that I'm talking about. These guys already have pitted. They came down to lap 43.
Yeah, they're not pitting again. The one-stop strategy that Josh was talking about, the two-stop strategy. So he's got a point.
Yeah, I don't agree.
But if this group catches that lead pack before they come down pit road again for service, and they could have pushed it probably a little bit further than what they did, in which we know that they can, because we've seen drivers go all the way up to lap 44.
They can't go 51 laps, though. They cannot go 51 laps on a single tank of fuel.
But that's not what I'm saying. If this pack catches them at the rate of speed that they've been catching them, if they get there by the time they pit, stick them to the outside.
Fair enough.
All the way up to that outside lane. Make them burn fuel to where they're potentially pushing themselves to the limit. I mean, we think from up here, obviously, that group can make a decent amount. But the crazy part about Talladega, well, cautions kind of play into it too. If we get 2 or 3 caution flags, Pancari's not pitting again. Rodriguez, Shaw, Wymaster, Mara, those drivers should be content to make it at least to the scheduled distance of this race, and maybe a green-white checkered. I mean, fuel was a big issue yesterday in the Cup race, and something that struck me listening to SiriusXM was the leaders were saving fuel. They were running 60 to 65% throttle all the way through.
You heard Brett Keselowski, what he said.
Yeah, maybe Cody Harris isn't going full song right here in this front line, and this entire pack is doing what you would do the 5th, 6th car back in line when you're running an official race here on iRacing, and you're just cracking the throttle, running 3/4 or maybe a little less than 3/4 throttle, just not letting the car get away from you, just riding it there. But they've picked up a full second in that background. It's a 49.5 the last time by to a 49.2. They're cooking back there.
Is it enough?
Well, the one way to find out. Stay tuned in to RaceSpotTV.
That is called synergy right there.
Shameless plugs for the channel that we're on. It's sad. I should stop.
Nah, never stop. Never stop being you, Terry.
It happens. I mean, speaking of SiriusXM, the guy sitting in the 5th place position has SiriusXM on the hood. That would be the 6 of Thomas George. He's trying to do something. He's sitting in the spot that the 6 car finished yesterday at Brad Keselowski. Maybe he'll find a good oppority to jump up there and get this win. Yeah,
I was thinking that. I was actually thinking that earlier.
The 6 sitting here. I mean, there's a lot of correlation to what happened yesterday, but the fuel saving is something you don't necessarily see at Talladega too often. We've went 53 laps under the green flag condition. When can you really say, have we ever went wire to wire at Talladega in RSR? No?
I can tell you that one time we did.
15 cars don't count.
Hey. It's probably like 18.
I don't think we've ever went wire to wire here at Talladega in a RSR competition, at least not with a field this big. And it won't be fully wire to wire today. You've got the slight asterisk of that lap 1 caution, but other than that,
yeah.
It has been a very clean race so far, but
we're not counting that one, Nolan.
I'm counting that. It took out my pick to win.
That's why we're not counting it. It was your pick. We're not counting it. It's 2 against 1. This is a democracy.
So what you're saying is I can pick a new favorite to win.
I mean,
2 against 1
rules.
2 against 1 that you cannot make a new pick, right, Terry? High five.
This is rigged.
I'm with him. Yeah, I'm with him.
This is rigged.
It clearly said in the Geneva Convention, page 1, paragraph 1, Nolan's not allowed to pick anybody but who we picked to start the show.
Brett Pancari is my new pick to win.
Listen, it was somewhere in the Geneva Convention. You're going to have to read it. Hey, track temp's going down.
99 degrees Fahrenheit. It was up to 113 at the start of this race. Air temperature, though, has actually risen slightly. So while the day's gotten hotter, the track's gone cool. In fact, it just cooled a bit more, down to 98 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind as well started to taper off as well. As I say, that it starts to pick back up. It was up to 7 miles. Okay, well, it's back. I'm not going to say anything more. It was down to 5 miles an hour. Now it's up to 7 again, like it was at the start of this race. And you can see, for the most part, it has still been a very tame race. I don't think the track temperature has really had as much of an impact into this race as we thought it might.
Guys, my pick is very soon going to be a lap down. I don't like it. Matthew
Sad.
Mara. Oh, pitting. We're pitting. We're pitting.
Yeah, we are.
All right. Agnell
lead
Phillip,
pack.
Matt Danson, Cody Harris. I mean, there was almost some wrecking there. You also have David Cobb. You've got Andrew Phipps. A few more drivers in behind. Oh, boy.
Well, this is what we thought was going to happen. We just didn't think it would happen this soon. I mean, 30 laps to go. It's 29 to go when we come back around. Michael Johnson stayed out with Thomas, George, Schmidt, Tucker, Pancari, Rodriguez, and Skull. All of those people had either pitted a decent while ago, which you see that lap 30 or 33 laps ago and 22 laps ago. So total different strategies. A total of 11 laps separate them in this race. But for those drivers who just came down, it should be a relatively short stop with just fuel only, as here comes the rest of that lead pack. They're coming in hoping to lock it down. Let's see if anybody makes it. They all make it in. There's the other pack behind them. They caught them like they had bricks on their trunk.
This is where we're gonna start to see some catastrophe happen with all this shuffling. If these drivers understand that they need to get back onto that lead lap, I mean, this is where the infighting starts right now. Pancari, something happened with him, we're hearing?
It seems like there's a massive stack up off of turn number 2. I can tell you right now, Durham is not very happy at all. And you're right, kind of got not even into the wall. He put Brett Pancari into the wall.
Yeah, that's on Durham.
Esteban Rodriguez.
Yeah, I love Steve Durham, but that was him coming up right as the really fast-moving bullet train was coming up on the outside and kind of forced him into the wall. So Durham just made too late of a block right there.
I'm not praying for a wreck, and I'm not advocating one either, but I tell you, that would be a massive
There's some smoke. There's some smoke through turn 1.
Yeah, it's not going to bring out a caution, though. We're still green.
That would be Michael Johnson. So he spun out of pit road, and I believe he money shifted the 39 car.
Happens to the best of us.
He did money shift the 39 car. Check just now.
What
Michael
in the
Johnson.
world?
Now, Michael Johnson downshifted to first instead of upshifted to third on exit of pit road. Now, you'll want to know what's crazy about this.
Listen.
Oh. Right there. You want to know what's interesting, though? The Precision Racing League had their race at the Talladega Superspeedway just yesterday night on Sunday. In that same race, a driver made the exact same mistake at the exact same point on the racetrack.
It's hard to do that with a sequential shifter.
It's one of those situations where if I had a nickel for every time this happened, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's strange that it's happened twice.
I'm really proud you finished that meme. Very nice, very nicely done, Nolan.
I know why you're into that culture for the most part.
Fantastic.
That was perfect.
That caught me off guard, but I will say.
Pitting.
Hello, we got the second pack pitting now.
Oh,
made it.
Oh, my gosh.
No way.
That was Scholl, I think, that went on a 4-tire slide on entry.
You want to talk about giving it your all. That's getting aggressive. That's what a lot of people have done this week. I know for a lot of you who potentially didn't, race this week, a.k.a. Dylan Coyle, who said he would race with me, but didn't. Whatever. Big deal. You couldn't possibly have a win.
I've got a really long story that involves a warrant for somebody's arrest and stealing my simulator.
Listen, racing with Terry, police. I'm taking a race with Terry. But hold on here.
Okay.
Looky. Who's leading this race?
Right, I know.
Then the man, the myth, the legend, Ross Cato, my pick to win this thing, is leading laps again. So maybe I should have started with I wasn't given a prediction of who was going to win the race. I was giving you a spoiler. I could have saved 100 and something people's time just by saying Ross Cato's going to win this race. You can just check Twitter after we're done.
Yeah, I'd be careful about that, though.
He still has to pit, man.
No, I don't think he does. He pitted at lap 43.
He needs to
Is that
pit.
enough to make it to the end?
No way.
You could save some fuel. Tomato.
No.
If Ross Cato wins this race,
That's 125, 130 miles on a single tank of fuel.
All I'm telling you is when Bagel Boy wins this race, I don't want to hear nothing post-race but sweet victory.
As he almost gets wrecked with that shove right there from Eric Stanford.
We're just going to gloat that Ross Cato's leading this.
All right, that's fair. That's fine. We can do that. But it's on strategy. I love you, Ross, but you still got to pit.
Strategy's racing as we're side by side back here on the back side, coming to the front stretch here to the line. That was the pack that pitted first and second here have caught each other. We might potentially
get the big pack.
This pack all back together with the craziness of fuel strategy as we had caution.
Back on the table.
We had caution, yeah, definitely back on the table as Thomas George was leading the pack before they came down and pitted. And now look at here. Oh, blocks being thrown, boys.
The accordion effect is in full sail motion right now. I don't even know if the outside line is smaller, but it seems to be a little bit more organized. The inside line trying to get organized, but the accordion effect is big. The outside line has the run right now. We join back with the leaders in Cody Harris, of course. He's trying to catch up to that pack led by Ross Cato, but there's just no way that those four drivers in that front pack are going to be able to make it the rest of the way. All we're seeing right now between Light and Harris and this pack is perennially the battle for first.
At least we think it is if the strategy pans out the way we think it might.
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, I don't. We don't have to throw it out there, but it would be 52 laps.
Okay, one more lap than I thought.
So it'd be 52 laps would put us there as Cato's going to go to the back of this field to swap up fuel saving.
138 miles on a single tank of fuel.
If they are saving fuel, this is the way to do it. I know I said you could crack the throttle in the front. You still can. You could ride up front if you're Eric Stanford and potentially just kind of coast it a little bit. Don't go as fast as you normally would here, which is full throttle to roll these drivers around. But they're swapping this lead here, and they just keep going. So, an interesting nugget from the producer in the last 7 races, the only one to do it, or could do it, is leading this race. That's Eric Stanford. We could see it as, here we go, he's going to go to the back now, so he leads a lap. Now he's going to put last week's winner Casto up front. It puts Alex Light into second, Papanow, and then Ross Cato back there in the 4th place position. So swapping around, boys. Here we go, and that's a bonus point, too.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about that because it really hasn't gotten to the point where points are going to be so scrutinized down to a bonus point. But yeah, each time you lead a lap, you get a bonus point. So that might be big coming near the end of the season. Ross Cato, by the way, shuffled back to P4. 3.
Fuel saving.
Yes. Well, it is fuel saving, but I don't know. We're at the point where if yellows don't consistently come out right here, there's. I'm trying, Terry. I'm trying to help you out here, but I can't.
And we can see even more the packs at the front of the field continuing to try to get themselves sorted as you've got Alexander Light still leading the way. Ooh. It is important to note that Sean Casto, who was leading that group, dropped back from leading that race this past lap. He did not want to spend so much time running with the fuel out there in the front. You see Alexander Light now leading the train, but that's going to mean that he is going to be pushing for the race lead. Of course, that'll give him the chance to get the extra bonus points. You got one lap car, Eric Papanow in the mix. Ross Cato and Eric Stanford are the next 2 drivers in line that we're waiting on to potentially come up and lead a lap. Alexander Light thought he might jump up to get out of the way. He's not going to, though. He's going to fall back to where he's at, and I think he might have just called pitting this time.
It's interesting. If I was them, I would have tucked behind Eric Papanow right there and just kind of rode quite a bit. If they come down pit lane, I think they're going to need the caution because you're 13, 14 second-ish right there. But he did not call pitting, so correction on that one. So now Alex listens to me, jumps to the outside, tuck in behind the 52 right here. Fuel saved quite a bit. I mean, he might be low on fuel, but the caution is still on the table. We have a backpack back here that is racing side by side. They've got to catch you, right? You got to make them work for it to catch you. That's how the caution comes out, and he made a critical mistake right there because he got way up there next to the wall. That was a long distance. This next-gen car doesn't suck up like it used to or like it should. We'll have to see if maybe they back him just a little bit. He's still got the draft, but if he makes any bobble whatsoever, he's got a chance here to lose it.
Here's the issue, though. If the yellows were consistently coming out at the start of the race or start of this second half, I would say that there's more likely a situation where the top four could potentially still be fighting for this win. But they've already gone around 33 laps on a single tank of fuel, which is almost the end point for any of these drivers under green. So it's impossible for them to make it, even if the yellow comes out, unless it comes out every single lap at the start of it.
I mean, even if you get one, in all actuality, you get one lap.
Still not enough.
But if they pit from here, not saying that they, not saying that they.
So you're saying if a yellow comes out,
if a yellow comes out and they pit, they are secure for RSR overtime. They would then be okay. So go to the end of this fuel mileage. Wait till the very end of it.
Right, and I agree with you there. I completely agree.
Because if you see the caution, I mean, you see the green and the reds jumping up and down.
Four
like
at the line, by the way.
Yeah, so you see a caution come out. That's money. That's money signs in your eyes that you're not going to keep the race leading. Everybody else isn't going to come pit. They're good for RSR overtime as well. So you'll just drop to the back end of this and have to work your way back up. But, hey, you got laps sled under your belt. You know how to get to the front. You've already did it under strategy, and, well, you got a chance.
Okay, but you heard, I'm not sure if you heard what Russ Cato said over the radio. At the line, there were 4 laps of fuel left. So they're going to come in either in 2 laps or 3 laps time at the end of how much they can stretch it, if that is what that meant. And they're going to be hoping, praying that this second pack, this huge pack, makes a caution out of it, because then they jump right back into it, because everyone would come down. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe on that one. And
but you don't want to lose that lap.
No, you absolutely don't. I mean, at this point, you lose a lap. A caution, I still think, is looking incredibly unlikely with how calm the race it has been. Even when that big pack's
That's a magic, dangerous word to say.
Oh, I know. I know exactly what I'm doing. But you know that the caution every lap that passes by, it grows less and less likely, and I'm still not convinced we're going to get one before the end of this race. This could very well go down as being one of the cleanest races in RSR history at the Talladega Super Speedway. But we still
I cannot believe you just said that.
We can still talk about it. Ross Cato, Stanford, Castro, and Light might have to come down to pit road, and I think that's all but confirmed. Of course, it was Alexander Light that called out. He had roughly 8 laps of fuel left a little while ago. That's going to be about 10 laps left, and he's going to have to come down to pit road because he's not going to be able to make it to the end.
You get Terry?
I'll be the one to say it because I'm normally the black-hatted one that says whatever he wants, but I love the nugget that got pushed to us there. After the, I guess you would call it poop show last week at Bristol Dirt that we saw with
the Gong Show.
I don't know how many cautions we set through in filled time. We definitely needed this. I mean, if there was any race that people tune in for carnage, well, it was last week and this week. And this week they're showing why RSR Racing is some of the best racing on Monday night and iRacing, period. It's why this league has stood for quite some time. It's been around for a while, and it's not going to go anywhere with drivers like this that's able to manage a draft, manage the pack, manage the strategy, and not screw it up. They're not dirt experts, and we knew that last week. But here we sit, and we're ready to go. Pit stops are coming.
They were just saying they're in this time. They're all coming down low. The top 4, they're going to give up the lead right here and come down in the pit road. It's got to be a perfect stop.
Oh,
as Light almost got into Casto. They're slowed down. They're going to give the lead up. The race is now in the hands of Grant Davis, who's going to inherit this lead right here. How big would that be for Grant? I saw him on Saturday on pit lane when we were waiting for qualifying to commence. It was great catching up with him. But, hey, could he win at Talladega? That would be awesome. It's got to be a Pepsi-inspired theme right there. On a scheme right there.
I think for a lot of the drivers here, it's going to be critical right now to see how you're going to be able to manage this race. It is now crunch time at this point in this race. Punkari going to be cycling through now to the race lead after that. Sorry, Grant Davis cycling through to the race lead as Brett Punkari, of course, having dropped back. And it'll be a tough race now for the guys up in front because now they have to set themselves up for the final few laps, right? If you're more towards the front, the guys like Nicolas Barra, Esteban Rodriguez, you can kind of just ride around until that white flag. But if you look back to guys like Danson, George, Pooler, Tucker, you got to start making those moves pretty soon here. You're not going to have time come the final lap. And on cue, Cody Harris to the top shelf, taking Agno Phillip and Matt Danson with him. The second lane opening back up, and look at the side draft off of turn number 2.
Man, I may have picked the wrong Mara brother on my prediction for this race. Currently, Matthew down 5 laps in pit road. I wonder if something happened to him. Sean Kalis, your prediction, 36 and on pit road. And Ross Cato is on his own right now. Well, not on his own, with just a couple other drivers. Pretty much our picks were as good as that Bristol Dirt race.
All I'm going to say is I liked your Pepsi-inspired call there, because it's not going to be the same. If Davis wins this race, it's not going to be like what we saw when Jeff Gordon took the Pepsi machine to victory lane. I don't think
spectators are programmed to throw.
I don't think any of the competitors are going to throw.
Oh, Grant Davis almost lost it.
I mean, this is crazy. As here we go, 3 wide race, and this is when the caution comes out and saves my pick in the 12. Back here, you got the 25 all the way to the outside. The 66 is falling all the way back to the back of this field. Now we go single file back down on the bottom. This is going to get hairy. And right on cue, when Nolan said that they had to make a move, put Cody Harris, the Ohio State Buckeye, to the race lead.
9 laps to go. Can we go green the rest of the way? I say no. 13 cars in contention for the victory, separated within a second of each other. Most are on the inside line. 3 are going up high. Andrew Phipps wants to get it going. Can't make a third line, but they're all shuffling. Slow car coming down this backstretch, the super stretch. Oh, man, a big move from Gregory Shaw. He's going to lead the inside line for now. Cody Harris still in the lead, coming down low. Oh, boys, this is getting good.
Starting to get feisty at the Talladega Super Speedway. Carl Pooler to the inside. Harris leads the way. They're about to lap Eric Papineau in the number 37. He'll fall to the tail end. Phillip pushing Harris through to the front. Danson running in that 3rd position, still clear to the bottom if he wants to go for it and jump down in front of Carl Pooler. Thomas George side by side with the 71. It is still Tucker to be pushing that 71 car, and now Matt Danson going to be potentially dropping back. The top 2 starting to see if they can't break away.
You don't want to get away too far here as they come down the Alabama Gang super stretch for to close out this race. I mean, we're coming down to 7 laps to go. The A51 Pro Camaro pushing that blank 28 machine painted like the helmet for Ohio State. Yeah. Carl Pooler down on the bottom lane. And the crazy part about it is think of how many drivers in this pack right here could potentially get their first ever win. This is what Talladega provides. We know Harris has a win, a couple wins, a road course win and a Bristol win. Phillip, walk-off win last season. Dancing, a ton of wins. Well, look at the rest of them behind them. There's not very many wins that's sitting there. The 16's got one. A lot of others in here really looking to put themselves in playoff contention and sit pretty coming out of here to Dover next week.
Dover obviously is a track that takes a lot of skill in terms of just getting that car rotated and over the roller coaster ride that is turn 2 and turn 4's exit. But when you're at Talladega, you're really, everyone who is sitting on 0 wins is going to be kicking themselves, because this is an opportunity. If you're in the top 13 here, this is an opportunity to get that win as we come to 6 laps to go. And what we haven't seen in this race so far is what we're going to start to see. We're going to start to see shoving in corners. We're going to start to see the trial will become a place that drivers are shoved. We're going to see wiggling happening. We're going to see some gutsy moves as the inside line has some momentum, and Carl Pooler will lead it and try and take the lead away from Cody Harris.
Trying to take that lead away down from the bottom lane is Steve Tucker, going to try to make the run for second as well. But again, the side draft up from the top. Cody Harris and Agno Phillip pushing right down to the bottom, unsettles the inside line, and that's going to again pull the top 3 from the high shelf clear. And I'll give Phillip credit for so far being loyal to Cody Harris on the outside line, but how long is that going to last with 5 to go?
Well, you're only as loyal as you want to be. They go to the middle here. No side draft needed. We go on board with the A51 Pro Chevy of Agnell Phillip. He's right there. He'll get to the back bumper, square that up. Chevy nose to Chevy rear. They go down that back straightaway. They're carrying a ton of speed. Lap car in the distance. Going to stay to that high side. No sense in getting there. And then the back bumper of Cody Harris. There's a mess behind him. And, oh, yeah, look in the distance, by the way. They've closed it down a full second. They were 4 seconds 3 laps ago. It is now 3.1 seconds for Lariah, who's leading that with Wetmore. You see that 44 machine coming with a head of steam. They keep side drafting like this. That final lap, they could potentially be there as we're seeing some mixing and mingling up front.
This is just too good, guys. This is too good. Slow car is going to lead to some uncomfortability. Durham says, staying high.
Staying up high for the likes of Steve Durham. He will allow the lead lap group through. Harris continuing to lead the way up from the top, but now it is Esteban Rodriguez down to the bottom. Carl Pooler now the pusher, and the Pierce Sim 16 on a charge to the inside. Rodriguez took the win over in Daytona. Can he get his second plate track win of 2023 from Talladega?
Guys, this second group is fast, and they're now within the draft of the lead group as we're coming down to just 3 laps to go. We were talking about the drivers who have not yet won a race here. I mean, we're talking about Esteban Rodriguez is going to be right there. We're talking about Schmidt. We're talking Pooler. I mean, all of these drivers have a chance to win.
Well, the guy on the bottom lane who's now going to get cut off by Gregory Scrawl, he's trying to get down into that bottom side. He's going to lead the charge there, but what a statement it would be for the rookie in the 16 to come in and say, hey, I'm the plate track ace here. I want to be the Pied Piper of these. You're going to follow me and you'll respect me at super speedways here, but not so fast. The veterans on the outside of Harris, Phillip, and Danson, and Thomas George, they want to hold on to this and say, no. We're still the ones that hold it intact. But this is really going to be a great race because that second pack is there. 1.1 seconds now, under a second for the 44. They're coming with a head of steam. Maybe
here they are!
Right up the middle, baby.
All right, Lariah going up the middle right here. The third pack, the third lane has formed. There are just 2 laps to go. Are they going to make it back to the line? Entering turn 3, Lariah, the block from Harris. The big one. The 51 flips over. This is a huge catastrophe at the end of Talladega.
Holy cow, one car got catapulted up and over the entire field, Dennis Setzer style, as it was Tom Wetmore that got cartwheeled up and over. I believe actually more reminiscent of Ricky Craven back in '96 at Talladega in turn number 1 when he was sent flying over the entire field. Brendan Gaughan as well. Yeah, you're right there.
Wow.
Holy cow, what a ride. And it was one heck of a move, and just one that at the end of the day couldn't pay off as Harris made the block.
Oh, everybody.
Oh, man.
But it would be better for us to say who didn't get hit in this rather than who got hit. But look at the run, the momentum through the middle. He gets it there. The 44 gets the block from the 28, and then around they all go, wrecking end over end. All of them wrecked, and that was every single car except for maybe 4. Oh, this changes everything.
I previously was talking about some of the winners here. My goodness. Of course, Rodriguez has one win, and it was at Daytona in the opening race of the season. So him with the Super Speedway experience, he was one of those drivers who got away with it with this incident. Staney, Harris, Shaw, they're all fine, but I mean everybody else. Look at Michael Arias. So this is coming in turn 1. Look at this full head of steam, and you gotta say, I mean, he made that middle lane work. He forced the presence. No one came down to block that middle lane, so the seas just kind of parted for him, and he kept going down this Alabama gang super stretch and came down low. Harris tried to block. Again, nothing that Arias done wrong so far, except maybe he came up a little bit and almost got away with it, but then got hit into the wall, and then calamity.
I might get in trouble for saying this, but that was kind of a stupid block.
Why would you get in trouble for that?
I mean, I don't understand. I get you're blocking. I get you're blocking for the win. You're blocking for the opportunity. But if I was Michael Arias, I would have drove right through him. I mean, if anybody wants to disagree with me in here, go for it. I mean, I'm open for it, but
to me,
would have thrown him right in it.
And we're seeing all these drivers down pit lane right now, but I really want to get a look as look who comes out first. Is that Sirius XM?
Oh, he's damaged. He's got a lot of damage there.
I really would like to see the I almost want a freeze frame of right as the moment the wreck happened, because Harris came down. He almost was on the apron. Yeah.
Mara lifted. If I'm the 44 in that pack, and you know, I'm not gonna lie, the block was dumb, but it's a nature of this beast.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is at the end of the day, if the 44 didn't lift, you wreck Cody. Like, I mean, if we go look, I mean, you see right here.
Here's the replay.
I mean, we'll go through as he's about to catch this in the middle. If we go on board with the 44 there, like if we go on board with the 44, you'll hear him roll out of that throttle quite a bit. I mean, he's full song. He's in the red all the way through here in 5th gear, pushing over 9,000 RPMs. And he'll stick in the red for quite a bit because he'll catch the side draft in the middle. He'll understand what he's doing. He's kind of lifting a little bit. He's full throttle, rolling, backs him down with the side draft. And then once he gets here, he's way ahead. If we jump to Cody Harris, he's not at 88, 8,700 RPMs. He rolls it to 300 RPMs there after that block. But if he didn't lift, that wreck doesn't happen, but it's not his fault. I mean, look at Cody Harris.
No,
8,400 RPMs. Now watch. He goes kicking it down. He's 300 slower. Bottlenecks this field, wrecks them all. I mean, you could have let him take that run and just get on his door. You would have slowed him down instantly. But instead, we got the entire field wrecked. But hindsight's 20/20. I'm going to make the same stupid block too, but I'm going to expect to get wrecked.
So, overtime rules, it's just 2 laps. If the leader takes the white flag, the next flag will be the checkered. There is no caution on the last lap, of course. Caution flag on that first restart causes another restart. This will be the first of 3 attempts. By the way, we had heard that Eric Stanford had ran out of fuel, but then got it going again. So, not exactly sure what's going on there. We're coming down the backstretch. The EOL was given to, of course, and I don't agree with this, to Tom Wetmore, who went for the ride. If anything, it was a racing incident with Harris coming down and...
no, hold up.
What?
Hold up.
He claimed it.
I get exactly why he claimed it. Because he was counterintuitive to the run, right? So he was to the outside there, and in all actuality, if the checkup happened and he was on the bottom, would we still might have had a wreck? Probably. But everybody else just would have checked up, and the wreck would have happened way in the back, and that would have been a racing incident because it just would have been a checkup. He jumped to the outside lane when people were pinching in a hole that did not exist, so I get the claim there for Tom Wetmore on why he claimed it, because in all actuality...
It wasn't his fault.
It wasn't his fault, but he was technically the one that initiated the contact that brought the caution.
Right. No, I get why he claimed it, but it wasn't his fault. So if it came down to it and it had to be checked after the fact, he would have been fine. Nonetheless, the damage didn't matter. He claimed it. We're coming back to a restart, the first overtime attempt. Cody Harris in the lead. Green flag, just over 5 miles left to go here at Talladega Superspeedway. Right behind Cody Harris is Gregory Shaw. Shaw on the inside line, a lot of separation. Back to Jaron Winemaster on the inside line. The outside line disconnected. They're all disconnected, really. This almost looks like tandem drafting.
And that is due in part to some of the damage that some of these cars sustained in that massive pile with drivers struggling to kind of get up to speed. But the draft is going to bring everybody right back in. The 9 pushing up the Shaw and Cody Harris, a 3-car tandem down to turn number 3.
Yeah, they're into the corner here. Don't look now, but the 12 is making his run here as he goes down to the low side. That'll put him at P number 5 here on this run, but we're coming to the white flag. This race will be official. We'll race to the line, unlike NASCAR. If anything happens, any wreck, we race to the checkered flag. Cody Harris leads it, but does he lead after 2.66 miles around here, Dylan?
Jason standing on the outside lines, getting pushed by Esteban Rodriguez. They're all shuffling. They're all wiggling. They're trying to make it work. A lot of speed on the outside line. A potential block did not work from Jaron Winemaster. Harris comes up to the outside, tries to block. It's not a good one. They don't keep it. They're 4 wide down the backstretch, heading into 3. Oh, goodness. Shaw on the inside. Rodriguez has it on the outside, trying to shuffle, get it back going. Russ Cato is in 3rd. Your pick, Terry. Oh, my goodness, coming out of 4. They're going into the tri-oval. The finish line a lot farther back. They're going to try and push. Cato goes to the outside. So does Shaw. 3 by 1 at the line. The win is taken by Shaw. Gregory Shaw with the win by 7 thousandths of a second.
So close, but no dice for Terry's pick to win. Ross Cato from the top shelf, but still 17th to 3rd. Not bad at all. Tucker, though, the driver that came just short, 36th to 2nd for the 0-0. But for Gregory Shaw, a hard-earned race win by the skin of his teeth at Talladega.
Look at this finish here. Into the tri-oval they go. If this was Daytona, we're calling the race here. But we don't. We go all the way over to the exit of pit road, and look at the finish to the line by 8 1/1000ths of a second. Gregory Shaw wins this race.
That's incredible.
Is how you win at Talladega. Freeze framing it from the great producer, Joshua Lee, to the line.
Cato had the momentum.
Cato had it. Just if the finish line was about 20 feet down, my pick was coming to win. But look at the finish. That is gorgeous.
I mean, you remember in 2011, the spring 2011 finish, where they were 3x3 at the line. That was 3x1, and still incredible. Wow, what a finish! Here are the results, and almost nothing separating the top three. Shaw, Tucker, Cato, 16 hundredths, or thousandths, I should say, between them. Unbelievable. Of course,
Gregory Shaw with that win, 8 thousandths of a second over Steve Tucker. Ross Cato sits back in the third to wrap out the podium, less than 2 100ths, rounding out the top three. Esteban Rodriguez picks it up for fourth. Brett Poncari down in fifth. Johnson was sixth, with Alexander Light in seventh. Sean Casto was eighth. Jared Weimaster and Carl Pooler round out the top 10.
Yeah, go back there to the 11th. You got William Schmidt, Stanford, Harris, Aney. Mike Kuczynski rounds out the top 15. Nieto, Davis, Danson, George, New, and Flores collected in the wreck. All of these are starting to be the used car lot as we go back there to 21st, Nolan.
21st, excuse me, going to be Eric Papineau, 1 lap down. Morano, 22nd. Federer place was 23rd with David Cobb at 24th. Richard Woodruff not finishing the race, back at the 25th spot, along with Andrew Phipps, Michael Laraya, Joseph Tice, Nicholas Mara, and Richard Wolsifer.
Yeah, rounding out this field, Agnell Phillip, defending champion, 2 wins on the season. He didn't care. Tom Wetmore, Bradley Burke, Durham, Mara,
Okay.
Mara, and Kalis. So that defaults me the winners. They finished 35th and 36th respectively. So
Talk about broadcaster curse.
Talladega, boys. Cato did me proud.
You were 17 thousandths away from the ultimate bragging rights there, by the way, Terry.
I get to interview him, so we'll give him that.
Oh my goodness, what a finish! What excitement! And I do believe that we're going to send it to Ross Cato, that third place finisher. Actually, we're going to go Gregory Shaw first. Gregory Shaw, what happened there at the end?
I don't know. I knew I was in the lead, and I'm so used to super speedways that when you're in the lead, especially Talladega, they have a lot more time to make a move than they do at Daytona. And I know Steve was going to make the move, and I think he made it just a little bit too late there. I moved up a little bit at the end and somehow squeaked by with the win.
I mean, this has got to be one of the cleanest Talladega races, minus the big one at the end that we've seen in recent memory. Do you feel like if that wreck doesn't happen at the end, you're still 100% in it for the win?
I think I was a contender there. I mean, me and Carl were trying to work our way through, and that wreck did shake some things up, but we were going to try to make moves regardless, and it just made a little bit less people that are contending for it.
All right, well, congratulations on the win. Dover might be a little bit less 3 wide and more single file, trying to race against yourself, but congrats, that was so exciting.
Thank you guys.
All right, that was your winner, Gregory Shaw. We're going to bring in Steve Tucker and Nolan. I think you've got the second place finisher as well.
Second place, but by about half a bumper for Steve Tucker. 7 thousandths of a second, the margin of victory there, Steve. And so close, possibly even pulling out a foot earlier might have netted you that win. But 36th to second, still not a result at all to be disappointed about.
No, man. Hey, I mean, first of all, thanks for having me. Obviously, season's been up and down for sure so far, but I mean, yeah, started last on purpose, wanted to, play the kind of strategy, stay out of the mess and whatever, but I mean, just made the right moves throughout the entire race. Just, pitted with the boys, shout out Bowie Esports. And I mean, I'll tell you what, I mean, it was eventful, but we finally put together a race, and I mean, right there at the end, I mean, my spotter tells me I'm 3 wide, so I'm like, I don't know if I want to, make the move right now, because I knew what I had to do. It's just a matter of when, right? So he told me I was 3 wide, and then I'm like, I'm just gonna go anyway, see what happens. Checkers or wreckers, And I mean, Ross obviously was far out enough ways, and I just made it happen. It's so good. I mean, to get that, obviously, the second place finish, wanted the win, obviously. These plate tracks, man, are where it's at for me. But we're close, but we're getting there.
Obviously, it wasn't the finish you might have been hoping for, but like I mentioned before, a good finish nonetheless. A one that was kicked off by an almighty wreck over in turn number 3, coming to the white flag. Why don't you walk us through what the perspective from you was like, having to work your way through a wreck that took out half the field?
Yeah, that's a good point, because right there, I mean, I think I was maybe 7th or 8th once the pack caught us or something like that, and I just got kind of freight trained. I picked all the wrong lanes, and I was on the outside, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to go low at this point. And yeah, I mean, I just it kind of just reaction, right? You see a guy spinning up by the wall, and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go down by the apron. Luckily, my tires were I mean, I was pretty well loose actually for second, maybe last 30 laps there. And honestly, just hung it to the apron, hopefully that it stuck, and it did, man. And it got in the grass there a little bit, had enough grip to get me through it, and to, just kind of sail on by, and that set up the Cinderella story.
Of course, we look forward next week, and we swing out to Miles the Monster's home over in Delaware, a track that, unlike Talladega, loves to eat tires for breakfast. What's going to be the strategy as we swing out to Dover Motor Speedway?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, short run speed there, I'm pretty deadly. But when it comes to long run speed, that's obviously where I struggle. Tire wear in general has always been my Achilles heel. So we're gonna put in the work this week, and we're gonna definitely just figure out how to save the tires. I mean, Dover is one of those places where you can get kind of unique long runs, even though it's kind of one of those shorter-ish tracks. So yeah, we're gonna put in the work, and we're gonna do it, man. We're gonna back it up.
Well, hopefully we'll be seeing you getting one better over at the Dover Motor Speedway in 1 week's time. Thanks for joining us up here tonight. Here's Steve. Congratulations on a hard-earned second place. We'll wish you the best of luck then in Delaware.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, just a real quick shout out to, again, Bowie Sports, Units Moving and Portable Storage. Go check them out online. Circle B Diecast. All of them. Yeah, the Boosted. Great guys on board here. So thank you, boys, so much for the broadcast.
Steve Tucker joined us up from second place on the running order. That moves down then to Ross Cato. It was your pick to win, Terry. Coming up, 16 thou short for the number 12.
Well, Ross, while the other two were having disastrous days in their fantasy picks,
Okay.
I was having a really good day with the third place finisher, and you were all about, 20 inches from a race win? And was you eating a bagel again, or was that just a good old-fashioned donut?
That was some beef jerky. Might as well just go ahead and plug Wild Bill's beef jerky. This is not an ad. They're not a sponsor yet. If they would like to, adorn my race car, then they're more than welcome to. Shop monogramsfood.com if you're interested. Good beef jerky. But no, we were up and down all day. And when you're the last car in a line, even if you make a flawless pit stop, it just seems like you're going to get left behind. And that's exactly what happened, even though I took exactly what I needed and hit my marks pretty good coming into pit road and coming out. So it put me on the wrong cycle. So that's why you had the oddity of me leading so many laps right before we had to pit again. But yeah, that last caution really saved my rear.
Well, I tell you, it saved mine too, because I look like a dope for picking you, but you've got a really good plate package. You understand the moves, you understand the air. We transitioned from Talladega to Dover. Polar opposites in racetracks, right? You're going to go to the concrete jungle of Miles the Monster. What do you got to do to take this momentum? Third place finish by less than a couple feet, but who am I to count? I just wanted you to win so bad. You got a chance to go out there and win, Miles?
Well, we'll see. I really enjoy Dover. It's really grown on me over the years. Used to hate that racetrack, but it's just so fun being in a rhythm, and just that kind of a technical racetrack it makes for some good racing, of course, but it's just fun to kind of get your mind on that rhythm, and hopefully we can get some long green flag runs, and we can get some green flag pit stops. So people tend to forget that Dover's pit road is pretty treacherous on entry, and then you have that agonizing pit road speed at 35 miles an hour. So, I am excited for Dover. I did okay in the Xfinity race when we went to Dover in the Winter Series. So, I'm just going to have to get some seat time and see how I can keep up with these titans of the industry like Danson and Phillip. And I don't know if Farniars is racing. I think that's his favorite track. But, yeah.
Well, I tell you what, congratulations on P3, and I hope you enjoyed that beef jerky and the wonderful Deer Park water you got right there. It's
best water.
Not the Braves, but not the Braves jersey in the back.
Go Braves.
You mean the Atlanta Braves, the team that won 11 to, what is it, 0 tonight?
Okay.
Is that it?
Okay.
He's a man of the people.
Okay.
He knows what to say. He might have been number 3 on the track, but he was number 1 in my heart. That's Ross Cato, P3 here tonight in that number 12 machine. Appreciate you coming up here, man.
Thanks, guys. Thanks to all my friends and family, and we're really thrilled to be in this series, and hope we put on a good show. And y'all have a great night.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Oh boy. Oh man, that was. I'm still trying to get off the excitement from that finish. It was just awesome. Just great racing all throughout the day. Strategy, and Terry, you called it perfectly. If you don't like this, then turn it off, because that is some good strategic racing that ended up being close as you can possibly get the top 3 to be. That had everything you'd want, from a big wreck if you're that kind of fan, to a close finish, to 2, 3, sometimes 4 wide battling, to strategy, to fuel saving. It had everything except for tire wear.
Quick plug, because I'm a plug guy. If you liked what you seen here tonight, I tell you something that you could watch: the eNASCAR College iRacing Series Round 4, the end of the semester. Who can beat Logan Clampett? 8 Eastern time on the iRacing YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, eNASCAR.live, the NASCAR YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you can find your eNASCAR stuff, that you find the Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Tune in tomorrow night. Pike, Atterbury, and myself to call the finale there. This is going to be fun.
Next week is my home track. Oh, I love seeing Dover Motor Speedway. That is where we will be. I think Evan will be back in the booth for that one. So, whatever. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Same time, same day, and different style of racing. But Miles the Monster will chew not only the tires up, but will chew everyone's cars up with that very close-in outside wall.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those tracks where it can be self-cleaning with these big banks over on the front and back straightaways, but the walls are never too far away. You can see so tight on the outside wall, and if you rebound off the outside wall, you're almost guaranteed to go down to the inside wall. It's going to be a precision race. It's going to, again, be a strategy race over at the Dover Motor Speedway, and I'm willing to bet it could be just as exciting as the race that we saw here tonight from Talladega.
All right. Well, I think that's it. That's all the excitement you're going to get for the night from Talladega Superspeedway. This is the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series. I'm Dylan Coyle, alongside Dolan Rempel, Terry Radford, Josh Mendoza, and Josh Lee in the production booth. We wish you a pleasant good evening, good night, and good racing.